very important aspect of our research proposal, research process. Okay, and that aspect deals on research what? Strategies, time horizon, and data collection. Can someone you are three here now. Please, I want you guys to respond to each. Can someone explain to me what do you understand by research strategy, research time horizon, and data collection? Who want to start first?
I can do data collection.
That is the last one.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Yvonne and Richard. Ladies first. Okay.
Okay, I was going to say, I think research strategies will have to do with the methodology that you're going to be using for your research, and then with time horizon would be the
No, one. Just stick to one.
okay.
Okay. Okay, Richard.
Yes, sir.
What is time horizon?
I believe time horizon.
Say it. You want to Google it first.
You have like the time you determined the study or the research should take.
Okay. Okay, that is good. Thank you so much, guys. Now, okay. So now, Anela, your last.
Yes, so data collection is just the methods used to collect data in, well, in the research or in any other way, what is it, way of work or whatever. But I think the ways of data collection also include like interviews and surveys as well. So it's just a method
Okay.
of collecting data for the research.
So meaning that what every research must have element of empirical aspect whereby you have to collect something, right? You have to collect some sample, you have to collect some data from participant, from your sample to make your judgment. It needs to be done within a time frame, within a specific period, right? And then the strategy aspect have to do the guide through which your study is being conducted. And that is what we are going to talk about today. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Now, if that being said, now, as we have established from the beginning that research is a process, right? And that process means what? It is a systematic approach, process. There is already laid down procedures. There is already laid down approach, way of doing it in order for you to arrive at your deliverables, which is your outcome. In this case right now, your outcome is your objective, right? Are we on the same page?
Yes, we are.
And then what is research objective? I'm asking you guys.
Research objective is the things that we aim to achieve during the course of by doing the research?
Thank you. Your outcome, what you want to achieve, the driving force behind your endeavor in that research process. And if that is being established, that what for us to establish, for us to carry out our research, that process, we have a defined purpose, a defined aim, our landing place where we have to settle. Now, the ability to conduct this process, this research process is driven by a number of factors. And that is what we're going to be seeing this very moment. And one of them is your research strategy, which is a guide. The space of time, the time you have to do it, the duration, or a close the period. And then for that period to be to be achieved, for that research to be done within that very period of time, there is a need for you to collect some data. And that data is what you are going to analyze in order for you to achieve your defined outcome, your defined objective, which then becomes your outcome. When you have achieved that objective, that becomes your what? This is what I have arrived. This is the outcome of my study. That according to the outcome of my study, this influences this. According to the outcome of my study, students want to use generative AI to just to pass, not to learn. And that's your outcome is a result of what? The analyzed data which you have collected. Now, a research strategy, as we have seen, is what? Are guides that assist you as a researcher to conduct and to achieve a research goal, which is your what? Objective. Meaning what? That when there is a lack of a research strategy, that means that what? We cannot really achieve our desired goal, our desired objective. And for a research strategies to be done, now, what are we looking at right now? And within the component of a research strategies, we need to understand the area of the research that we want to cover. Because a research cannot say, okay, I want to do a research that will cover the whole of South Africa. It's okay, but do you have the time? That's why you have to define it within a particular area. I'm looking at South Africa in general, but I'm going to look at this sub part of South Africa. I'm looking at education system in South Africa, for example, higher education. But I'm going to make my generalization using a sample size of University A, University B, Institution A, and Institution B. And that after you have done, you can now say, okay, I have achieved my desired objective because of these findings that have emerged. And now, within your research strategy, it's also been defined by what? Your research philosophy, the philosophical underpinnings, which we covered in our previous class. That's what? That it needs to, there must be a belief system that guides the research process, which is a what? A philosophical underpinning, a philosophical grounding. And this research object strategies must be defined by the kind of research objective, question, and methodology. So what are we talking about here? That in order for you, because it's a guide, first of all, it is a guide. Are we following, guys? that helps you to arrive to your destination of your objective. And for that to happen, we need to understand that these strategies are guided by the area of the study, philosophical underpinnings, objectives, research questions, and research methodologies. One talo hand. Guys, are we on the same page?
Yes, we are.
Yes, sir.
Which page am I?
The research strategies.
Okay, that's the page I am. Okay, thank you. We're on the same page. So that is it. Now, there are. Remember, we are following research onion approach of the broader structure of our research methodology. Now, if we are following that, and I said in our previous class that every research, you should be able to identify the structure you are following. So that what? Because many of these research methodology researchers, they have their defined structure they are following, their layout they are following. So now if we are following that now, we're going to see some number of, there are different kinds of research strategies. And this research strategy, because it's a guide that assists you to conduct that, there are a number of them which we have quantitative, which we have a lot of them, and they are all arranged between quantitative, qualitative, and the mixed method. Now we have understood that what it is a guide. And then in order for you to be able to carry out your research, you need to be whether quantitative, qualitative, or mixed method. Within them, there are different kinds of guide that assist you to conduct that research in order for you to achieve your objective. Remember, we want to achieve our outcome, which is our what? Objective. Please bear that in mind. And for that to happen, we are looking at number of research strategies, which is arranged according to what? Research methodological choices. Now, under quantitative research, there are a number of research strategies which are survey, experiment, correlational research, and action research. Please, that action research be under mixed method. And then under quantitative, it has qualitative, it has its own, and then on to mixed method. Now, because it is a guide that assists you to achieve your purpose. Now, one of them is a survey. A survey is a research method, right? That is used to collect what? Data. And the kind of data that is collected under research survey is mainly what? A quantitative data, which is through what? A questionnaire. So a questionnaire is mainly used in a research survey. And this is normally being done when you are looking at when you are looking at large sample. When you're looking at large number of participants, group of individuals, population, you look at what? Our survey, which goes through what? And a questionnaire. Then who can give us an example of experimental research? Anyone? I'm waiting. Experimental research. It involves a procedures to establish cause and effect. Yes, right on.
Yeah, and I think it's something like it's done in something like when there's a vaccine research that we need to see if it's effective or not.
Thank you. And that is what a research strategy that we want to establish the cause and effect. Now there is a pandemic, there is an outbreak, right? Now you want to establish the effect, the cause and the effect, how this thing, what will be the effect in society and everything. What do? You use whatever sample to do what? To test that process. Or you take the samples, you go to the lab and look at the reaction of the sample that you have collected. In this case right now, what do? You do what? You can do observatory kind of a process whereby you treat and then you watch the effect, right? And what that is what in that space, what you're trying to do, or to do what? To establish, to confirm, or to reconfirm, or to understand, to study your research objective. So we have a correlational research which evaluates a relationship between two or more variables. Now, who can give us an example of a correlational research? Not you, Richard. Anyone again? Anele.
I think it's just like, for example, you're going to be looking at two different, what can I put it as, like frameworks, like statistical frameworks, and then
Okay.
maybe identify like the after in terms of those two frameworks, that do they do the same thing in terms of if it's a statistical framework, and if it brings back the same results, or is there patterns in association with those two frameworks? Is there no patterns? Like, what are the instances where there's similarities, differences? I think that would be it. I don't know.
Okay. Thank you. Now, Yvonne.
I was going to think, making use of the example Richard came with about the vaccine, I would say perhaps testing on different people, testing a vaccine on different people that have different medical conditions, or that are on different medications and things like that, to kind of see the relationship. I don't think I'm making sense, but to basically try
Make sense
and
with your sense.
yes, but to basically try and um, find out a relationship between different, on one or more data sets that you're working with.
Thank you. So you're making sense with what we're saying. Now, based on what NLA and Richard, and also what you said, now let's take example. Which topic? Which can someone give me his topic? Your research, your research proposed a research topic, or research topic you're working on. Okay, let me use research of Richard. Now, let's say now I want to understand generative AI today, the effect on students, right? Productivity, performance. In this case right now, for that to happen, you need to understand when there when they have used and when they have not used this tool, and they're able to make comparison to look at the relationship when the students have used generative AI in a particular situation, and then when they have not used it, and then to say, okay, when they use it, what was their performance or what was the outcome, vice versa when they have not used it. And that is what. So you're trying to establish that relationship between, does this links together? Or another example can be a situation whereby you want to know, does them using it impact on their learning outcome? So in that case, you're looking at two different variables. See, okay, they are using it. What effect does it have in their learning outcome, in their learning process, and so on and so forth? Okay, and under qualitative, we have this one that says a case study. Is under case study. What is a case study? It says there's an in-depth examination of used in a small number of entities, single entities, right? To do what? In order to do what? To get a deeper insight into a phenomenon using what? A range of data sources. So what I'm trying to do here, you want to look at examine a case or small number of cases within a life situation, within a given situation, in order to do what? To identify a unique issues or complex issues. So now you can conduct or conduct a document review to see, okay, in this case that let's say in the case of using generative AI, you're using a review a documents that have been written on the impact, on the challenges, on what of this technological tool on students, on the people, on this particular group of persons, right? What we are trying to do is to seek to understand deeper information from these issues that are being discussed, that were discussed, sources that you have gathered. What are they talking about? What are these documents really investigating? What are the complex challenges they have discovered? What are the common things they have discovered? And so many other things within this, for you to be able to say, okay, based on these existing cases that you have read, you can now you can now tell a story based on that. Now you can now use a what I call it, interview, for example, to also do the same thing, whereby you are looking at their real life experiences on using generative AI, on the kind of impact it have done, is bringing to them in their life and in their learning process. Okay, so it can be done. It can achieve your case study research through what? Interview, document analysis, observations, and so on and so forth. So now you as a researcher, when you look at your topic, what do you see? What kind of objective do you want to achieve? And then which of the strategies can assist you to attain to that objective? And then you can be able to pinch your tent on the one that can be able to assist you to achieve that. If you want to look at people's real life experience or something like that, case study can be the better choice. You want to look at a larger population with this one is a small number of persons. You want to look at a larger population of individuals, you look at what? A survey. Want to look at want to make a experimental, to look at the cause and effect. You look at what? Experiment. Want to look at the relationship between variables, between more than one variable. You look at what correlation. We have also the ethnograph research, which is what is a participation research that engage in a cultural kind of studies. We want to look at the cultural weaving of the people. That becomes the strategy to use. In other words, you can observe the people's way of life, their culture, and everything, not to understand their belief system, to understand their background, to understand their behaviors and interpretation of things around them, and so many other things. And then, what is a grounded theory? It's a study used to develop what? A theory. And in this story, in this development of this theory, what you are going to do is to, instead of imagining a theory or constructing a theory, what you do is that you collect your data, do the analysis for you to do what? To develop a theory based on the data which you have collected. Guys, are we following? Hello, guys.
Yes, we are.
We are following, sir.
Okay. Let me accept with fear that you are following. Okay, we have another strategy which is called phenomenological research, exploring people's lived experience, and you can do that through a systematic data. Okay, and that is it. And then action research have things to do with what? The process of addressing real life problem in a specific area or location, which involve improvement in is continuous, and then plan, action, observe, and reflect. Now, in your action research, what do? What you simply do is to be able to provide a research that can be applied to solve a real life situation. For example, students are misusing generative AI in their studies, in doing assignments, in doing all those kind of things. Now, you involve a research. Your research is all about trying to solve that very problem of students misusing what? Generative AI. So you're able to plan it, provide the actionable, achievable action process, how you want to solve the problem. You observe it, and then when you are provided a solution, you're able to reflect, evaluate that solution that you are provided to know if the efficacy of it, does it really solve the problem? Does it really address the situation that what the situation of students misusing generative AI? And that is your what? Your research action research. Okay. And now, when we continue from there, we're looking at we also have what is called a cross-sectional research. A cross-sectional research examine a sample size at a time and then report on their response. You're looking at what? The impact of generative AI on students, as the case may be here right now. What do you do in this kind of research? You're able to do what? To conduct that research at that very moment and then provide your report. In order to do what? And then be able to do that again and then make your comparison. It was done first semester. We have done a second semester. What was the finding from the study of last semester, the second of this semester, first and second semester, and then you can be able to do what? To provide your what? Your recommendation based on what? That's what you have found out between the two series of studies. How can you apply in your studies, guys? What is your time horizon from your studies individually, from your topic? Let me start with Richard. Is Richard there?
No, he left the meeting.
Okay. Yvonne? Anele?
So, yeah, okay, you can go.
I was going to ask Prof to please repeat the question.
Time horizon. What is a time horizon to your study?
So the time it's going to basically take to collect data and analyze specifically, not entirely sure, but it could take a month. I am guessing at this point, but it could take a month. Yeah.
Okay. Now it is a period, right? That you want the time span, the time boundary when you want to collect that very study. So okay, now fine. Now in this case right now we're looking at two kinds of sample. Now in your case right now, is your study going to be a longitudinal study or a cross-sectional study? That is what I'm asking. So now, in this case, what we are trying to say here is that what under these two kinds, whether longitudinal, it involves a repetition of a study, which is what a study that is done, let's say within a year, and within a let's say 2 weeks, and within that very 2 weeks, you're able to collect your data, and then what do? You repeat the same study again. It has to do what? For you to be able to establish your research objective. And after you have done that, you can repeat that again through what? So I can be able to know the variation so that you're able to know if there are any changes to solve a particular problem. So in this case right now, you can say, okay, no, I want to do a study on the impact of ChatGPT on students learning this thing. You do it in first semester, you do second semester. That is it. So it can be done over some period of time. When your cross-sectional part is a study done within a period of time. So in this case right now, what you're trying to do is that you collect that study for, let's say, for 2024, not 2025. You collect that very study. So ask yourself now, when you're writing a proposal, am I going to repeat my study? Or am I just collecting once off data? And that is it. And that is what you need to think about. Remember, all this is you need to apply them in your study. Are you going to repeat that study over a period of time? Or are you just collecting once off? I'm looking at students that are using this system for this particular year. Case closed. And then you're done. And that is what you need to think about in your proposal. Any question, guys?
No, all good.
Okay. Are you following me?
We are.
Okay. Now, when it comes to before I come to data collection techniques, now remember that I have said it in a previous class. Irrespective of the choice you have made in this section of your research proposal under methodology, there is a very important aspect that you need to do what? Cover. Now, a research is a process, and that process has been done by other people. Whatever you are doing there's a high chance that other people have done the same study, but not in your area. Now you need to be able to provide a supporting support, which comes what? Through your citation, so that you don't make a choice based on how you feel or based on your personal conviction without empirical proof. Your conviction can be okay, but you find out literature has seen opposite of what you have made. So in order not to do that, what you need to do is for you to bring citations to support your stand in that very research. So provide enough citation. Now we proceed. We have what is called the data collection techniques. Data collection techniques can be done using primary or secondary method. Okay? Now, when you're collecting a primary study, what do you mean? It collects first-hand data or experience using quantitative, qualitative, or mixed method. In this case right now, okay, I want to collect a first-hand experience of people using blockchain. So in this case right now, what I'm simply going to do, I'm going to conduct an interview or a questionnaire. To do what? To understand people's experience within that topic, in regards to my topic. Also, I want to understand people's deeper insights into this topic of mine. What do I use? I use what? An interview. Now, an interview, the different a distinction between interview and a questionnaire is that interview gives you a better understanding to get a real life feeling or effects of what you're talking about on the people on your samples. Because when you're doing an interview, you ask a question and the person, your respondent, just make a his sign. That's to show there's something. You don't start because why do you make this sign? Why do you nod your head when I ask that question? But in your interview question, it's not there. But your respondent response, the participant response, engineered you to ask more questions to get more deeper understanding, which could have not been captured when you are doing just a survey. So it allows you to get a real feel of your research topic on the participant, how they are feeling, their impact. Through those kind of gestures can give you a better understanding to know if really this person is having some pain because of what? The previous experience based on what you are discussing, and so on and so forth. We also use a pool used to gather a quick response from your respondent. Also use a focus group, which can be an interview kind of whereby you collect qualitative data from a small group of participants. Are we following? Okay, we have what is called a secondary research. Now, a secondary research obtains data from existing studies, sources like government reports, academians and non-academic journals, organizational report like your Reserve Bank, your World Bank, IMF data, and everything. That is what that very data that you collected from those organizations can simply be categorized as what? Organizational secondary research. So now it can also be called, it's also called a literature review with the following categories. So now sometimes it can be it can be interchangeable. Some are calling it a literature review, and this is what your assignment, your last assignment is focused on. Go and look at that instruction and look at what is here. Yes, the instruction is what is based on literature review methods. And those methods can be a systematic review. One of the methods of literature review techniques of gathering data is what? A systematic review. Under systematic review, what are you doing? What are you trying to do is to do what? To look into existing literatures without collecting what? Primary data. And then what do? You identify the literatures, you evaluate them, and then you also analyze synthesize the appropriateness of the literatures within that research topic that assists you to draw your conclusion towards making a decision. So in what you can collect using your primary data. So okay, no, fine, this topic has been broadly being researched, right? I don't want to collect data, but I want to look at existing research topic on what is being discussed and what the extent of what has been discussed. Then you look at extensive existing literatures, your journals, your conference papers, your book chapters, your what, all those materials. You look at them, and then you're able to find out what has been discussed, the area that has not been discussed, what has been discussed, the missing link, and the gap that is in literature. Then you can now form your conclusion. Narrative also have a narrative literature review, which also looks into this. But however, a systematic literature review has a laid down kind of it's much more procedural. There are different kinds of approach principles that are guiding literature review. One of them is Prisma, that enables you to know, okay, in order for you to do that, look at what you need to do your exclusion, your inclusion, look at that, the number of papers you collected, you clean it up, you clean it up, you filter them, and then continue that to, you know, okay, out of 1,000 papers that I've collected, only 20 is what applies to the study based on the criteria that have been defined. Narrative literature review looks into existing literatures without following a defined approach. Systematic have an approach, have a principle, but narrative doesn't have a principle. Okay, meta-analysis also involve a combination of findings from 2 or more studies to address conflicting questions, issues. There have been a conflict. Some are saying allow students to use ChatGPT. Some are saying don't allow them. You do your meta-analysis to do what? To find a balance between those 2 conflicting arguments. You have a scoping review used to identify research gap or key concept for further studies. Guys, are we following?
Yes, sir, we are following, sir.
Only you.
We're following.
Okay. Now, before this part, under a literature review, there are a number of them, but I only talk about 4 here. There are a number of them that you have to look into. Your last assignment is pure application of literature review methods. So what you need to do is to look at that. You look at your topic, look at the objective, and then you go through different literature review types, methods, and be able to find the one that can really provide you an answer to address that suits into what you are, the topic and the objective, and then you can apply it. If you want to use systematic review, you follow the detailed part of systematic review. Sometimes people will say they are doing systematic review, but there is no element of systematic review in it. Because systematic review have a laid down structure which you need to apply. You need to apply that into your study. If you use this scoping review, you also have to do the same thing. Okay. If you are following narrative, there are also the one that is called rapid review and all the rest of them. You have to do what? Use it to the best of the topic. Don't just say methodology systematic review and then you go different routes talking about what is not applied to systematic review. Okay. In conclusion, every research needs to be conducted within defined process. Whether you are doing quantitative, qualitative, and mixed method, all these things are ensure that your findings can be believable. When you apply the right strategy, the right time horizon type, you choose the right data collection technique, automatically your research can be believable, can be trusted, there can be element of repeatability. The trustworthiness will be there. It can be reliable, and anyone that one can repeat the same thing. You may find different results, but it can be repeatable, and it will be valid at the end of the day. So you following these processes, it ensures that whatever you're gonna find out, your objective can be achieved, it can be trusted, it can be believed, and so on and so forth. Any question, guys? Thank you. Any question?
No, none from my side.
None from my side, sir.
Okay, if you say none from your side, then it's fine. What I expected from you guys from now is for you to run and begin to implement all that we have discussed.